Good evening all, and welcome to episode 30 of the Sky Fantasy Podcast by Fantasy Football Hub. My name is Andrew, and joined as usual by two of the most successful Sky managers in the game. Firstly, Paul McAnulty, who I believe had Calvert-Lewin captain today. Happy days, Paul. That'll be a big jump for you.
Yeah, hoping it's more of a differential than what I was thinking it was as well. So, average day yesterday, good day today. So, hoping to jump up the rankings.
Are we looking for points today?
You caught me off the cuff.
You've got to be about like 90 odd, maybe 90, 100.
I think it was 91 when you had his man of the match in as well.
Very, very nice. We also have former Sky winner Father Christmas with us, who captained Vardy with me the same. Captain Vardy today the same as me. So I'm hoping you can give us a Christmas present in the last 5 minutes. How's your day gone other than that, Dan?
Yeah, disappointed, mate, really, weren't it, with Calvert-Lewin? Like, we both sort of ummed and ahed about him or Vardy, didn't we? And had a little plan, but Calvert-Lewin scores after about 40 seconds, steady, and it's a disaster. So, it's been all right weekend, 72 points, I think. So, it seemed bad, but it's all right. It's doable. I've got to take this off, mate. I'm too hot on this, and the beard's getting in my mouth. I don't know if it happens to you.
You look bad.
It seemed like a good idea beforehand, but I'm going to get hot, and this beard's annoying me already. So bear with me, mate.
Brilliant. Evening all. Evening Andrew Patterson, Saif Ali, Dan Wright, Glenn Murray, James Hyde, Oi Oi Savoy Sausages, Glenn says, Pete S, Martin Beasley, Luke, Chris D, has 59 with 1 to play. Bear. Hello, Andrew, Father, Danmus, and Paul. Pete S, 106. What a week, Pete. Well done. Wilso win. He's looking forward to Dan's rant, aren't we all? Michael Young and Dragos are. I suppose just to kick off with the whole Calvert-Lewin versus Vardy. Calvert-Lewin owners and captainers are ahead, but Vardy owners, we didn't just pick Vardy for the one. Look at that. We didn't just pick Vardy for the one day. We had him with a couple of captaincies in mind. So all is not lost yet. DCL captors have won the battle, but the war is still very well much on. As we are live, please feel free to join the chat at any time. Let us know your thoughts on the topics or the relevant sections, and feel free to ask some questions for us to answer at the end. For any new watchers and listeners, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Set the alerts so you don't miss our live streams at 9 p.m. every Sunday evening right here on this channel. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. If everyone could press like now, it would be great. So tonight, Paul will share some stats with us. His stats are back. Dan will share some ownership and transfer stats. We will look at Man City options. So we had a lot of questions around Man City because obviously they haven't the best at the moment, but their run is pretty sublime. We'll answer some questions from Twitter. Look ahead to Sky Game Week 12. Share our plans. We'll update the podcast team. It was bad, pretty average week again. Give some mini league updates and finish off with Andrew's questionable bet and Dan's rant. So a packed hour ahead. So straight into it. And Paul, do you want to share your weekly stats?
Yeah, so I'm just using the FF Stuff match engine it's set up. So looking at the games from yesterday, first game was Newcastle-Chelsea, 2-0 win for Chelsea. Nothing much to say from the Newcastle perspective, apart from Jamal Lewis picking up tier 1 tackles. I don't think he's very highly owned. All of the Chelsea back four picking up passing bonuses. Chilwell only managing tier 1, but if you look at his stats so far, his numbers this season's been pretty impressive. Again, Zuma's ownership's pretty high as well, so congratulations to anyone that's selected either of those. Kante done the double, so you got tackles and passes. Someone who I thought had a really good game, and it's obviously a Frank Lampard favourite, is Mason Mount. He got an assist and he got passes yesterday as well. It's just in that 8 million bracket where I don't like making too many swaps. And then Tammy Abraham seems to have kind of nailed down that centre forward spot now. It put me off owning Werner for that basis, even though he's on pens now. Abraham picking up shots bonus.
No, I think when Havertz is back, which is probably next week, I would guess, and Pulis is only a week or so away as well. I just think, I do think Abraham has played well, but Werner for me will just go up front. He's their number one guy on the team sheet, I think. But that's just what I think.
I guess Mount could probably drop back in and play a double pivot with Kanté, perhaps as well. So Spurs City. Ori and Højbjerg. So again, Højbjerg for 7.4 million, getting another tier 2 tackle. So I know a lot of people had kind of earmarked him to move on to Zaha and are now having some rethinking about that. From City, back four all picking up passing, as kind of you would expect. Walker picked up tackles as well, and Diaz picked up shots bonus, which was a nice little surprise for us owners. Rodri picking up passing, but for his price, I think knowing that Romeo and Højbjerg are cheaper alternatives, are kind of offering the same points. I don't think many people will be plumping for Rodri. The two other games yesterday were Villa Brighton, so 2-1. Very little in terms of bonuses that game. Only Solly March and Yves Bissouma picked up tackling bonus, and that was kind of it from that perspective. And then Man United, West Brom. I was actually really surprised looking at the Man United passing tiers. Like Maguire didn't pick up anything. I think Wan-Bissaka had a lot of passes early on in the game, didn't pick up passing. It's only Lindelof, Matic, and Bruno that picked up passing from that game. Bruno again doing a double, getting the shots bonus there, and Romain Sawyers for West Brom again will be very little owned.
Sorry, just to interrupt. I just had a notification on my phone. I got incredibly excited in case Vardy popped in at the end, but it's just the full-time result. So it's Liverpool 3, Leicester 0. Vardy owners have been let down today. Apologies, Paul. Go on.
That's all right. And then, so looking at the next page is you got Fulham in the Leeds games. Yeah. So Fulham 2, Everton 3. Calvert-Lewin picking up tier 2 shots. Rewarding all those that brought us in. Although I looked at the last 24 hours worth of transfers, so 12 noon to 12 noon. Dan will probably talk about it a little bit more, but there was only 2,000 transfers in for Calvert-Lewin. I thought there'd be a lot more than that based on people moving Salah on. Pickford picked up saves bonus. Doucouré picked up passing bonus, and Rodriguez picked up tackling bonus, and Richarlison picked up shots bonus. So I know if you had Rodriguez as captain as well, so picking up a couple of points for the tackle bonus. And then from Fulham's perspective, Harrison Reed almost got 100 passes, 97 passes. Nobody else hit tiers there. Keeper picked up saves bonus. Caballero, even though he missed that penalty, picked up shots bonus, as did Reed as well. Probably, again, very, very few owners. And then Leeds 0, Arsenal 0. And I think the bonuses all came from areas that no one expected, because it was none of the bonus magnets. So Aylan and Dallas managed to avoid it. Gabriel, 21 passes. I think like 18 of them were in the first 20 minutes or something like that. It was crazy game. So Ceballos picked up tackles. Leno picked up saves bonus and picked up man of the match. Koch and Cooper both picking up passing, along with Alioski, Phillips and Klitsch. Who, remember, Klitsch was talked about a lot going into the overhaul, overhaul stage, and he's not really done anything, although he has picked up passing in a few games.
He's got a couple of assists as well. He's been all right. Yeah. He's been
and Bamford picked up shots bonus. And then just looking at the Sheffield United West Ham game, there was very little in that in terms of bonus again. McBurney picking up shots, Haller picking up shots, Baldock, Ampadu, Lowe with tackles, Fabianski with saves. Fabianski might be owned by a few, but I think West Ham's kept 4 clean sheets in a row now, so maybe they've gone under the radar a little bit. Kufal was someone that we've talked about a bit based on his price on this pod before.
6.3 is he?
6.1.
6.1. That is very cheap, blimey.
And then I know it's not on the screen, but I've got the Liverpool Leicester stats as well. So Jota, Firmino, Mane, Barnes all picking up shots bonus. Alisson and Schmeichel both picking up saves bonus. And Matip Fabinho and Jones picking up passing. So Robertson looked like he was on for passing at half-time, but seems to have evaded him by the end, although he's picked up a nice 10-pointer from that game.
Good job. Thank you very much for that, Paul. James Street in the chat is sending... he's making everyone a bit worried. He's saying Vardy injured, limping off at the end with Klopp, and Fire and Blood has just said Vardy injured. That would be a double kick in the bollocks for Vardy owners. That would. We'll wait. Obviously, have to wait to see how that pans out.
Danny Ings all over again.
Yeah, and Lance Harrington apologises. Kufal Price was my fault. Sorry. So for those who don't know, Lance Harrington, he did all the pricing for Sky Sports and TFF and everything else. Okay, Dan, have you got some ownership stats for us?
You know, if Vardy's injured, I'm too upset to even continue. Right. So average transfers remaining. My account's going to be heading this way soon. The amount of players I keep bringing in that are getting injured. But this was from last week, Wednesday. So it's obviously gone down. But top 10 was 5.6 left. Top 100 was 13.6. Top 1,000 was 21.4. And the top 5,000 was 25.1. I actually found an article I did 2 years ago, Gameweek 11, and the top 10 had 18.5 left. And I didn't think that was a lot then. So you think if it's 5.6 now and 2 years ago it was 18.5, it's quite a drop. But yeah, there are just so low, especially top 10, 5.6. Like, you know, none of them are going to be in the top 1,000 probably, are they, by the end of the season? But I don't know. That's the average transfers. Top 5 transfers out. Salah taken out of 50,000 teams this week since last Sunday. Crazy, isn't it? Trent out of 21,000. Connor Cody out of 6,700. I don't know what he's done to be taken out of that many teams.
He's self-isolating, but that'll only be a game, I would guess. But anyway.
I would have missed that. Doherty, Tottenham. Ian, I thought he was going to be really all right this season as a pick. But he just nightmare, innit? He's out of 5,900, and Ward Prowse has been taken out of just over 5,000 teams.
He had a knock over the international break as well.
But he's supposed to be all right.
He's fine now. Yeah, he's fit. Yeah.
So people might have jumped the gun a bit early there. The top 5's ins from last Sunday to this Sunday. Vardy into 12,000 teams. You know, like us, the most transferred in player. Just knew he weren't going to score today as well. Mane into 12,000 teams. Werner into 11,000 teams. Chilwell into 9,000. He's getting quite well owned now. And Bruno Fernandes into 9,000 teams exactly. So that's your top 5 ins and outs. And do we quickly run through the top 10 ownership as well?
Yes, please.
I'll be quick. I know it's a bit intense, this bit.
No, it's good.
So Kane, this is just the top 1,000 now. I'm not doing overall because there'll be quite a few managers already who have given up. So there's no point in me saying Aubameyang's in 30% of teams because of active managers. He's not going to be in that many. So top 1,000, Kane, 94%. Bruno Fernandes, 91%. Jack Grealish, 79%. Vardy, 48%. We're all sweating. De Bruyne, 47%. Chilwell, 42%. Zaha, 40%. That'll probably go up again before tomorrow. Zuma into 37%. Patricio on 34%. And James Justin, 29%. That is your top 10 owned.
Thank you so much. We're getting a bit of a picture now, aren't we? You know, of the profile of the most owned players. And as we we've mentioned a couple of times already, DCL owners are the big winners. A couple of comments in the chat. Wilson win. Vardy possible calf again. James Street said potentially is groin, but he hasn't got a game for 8 days. I know they play. I think it's Braga on Thursday evening in the Europa. I think have they won their games? 9, I think. Yeah, so they'll probably rest. So he's got 8 days. So you'd hope he'd be back for them at home. I think we might get to see the team sheet. Yes, we get to see the lineups anyway. So we get to bring in Iheanacho or someone else instead. Oh no, we got Grealish. Yeah, we got Grealish. Right. Yeah. Okay, so we had some questions in around Man City players. So for those who haven't seen Man City's run of games, and I'm not just talking about short-term run, but their long-term run is actually fantastic as well. But for their next 6 games, they play 4 at home, included home to Burnley, home to Fulham, they're away to Man United, they're home to West Brom, away to Southampton, home to Newcastle. They've got an absolutely outstanding run of fixtures. And normally speaking, we would be talking about Aguero, Sterling, De Bruyne, Mahrez and everyone else and defenders, but with the current climate, so they've only scored, I'm not sure if this stat was before yesterday's game or after, obviously they hadn't scored, they've only scored 10 games so far this season, which is half the amount that they'd scored at this point last season. I think they might have mentioned it before the game, so and they'd scored 19, but yeah, they're not looking good. They're having a lot of shots, I would say. It's not like they're not, they're not having chances. They're just not scoring the goals. So we had questions off at FPL_Mikey. Mikey. Just thoughts on City attack. I simply don't know whether it's worth bringing KDB in. That's Mikey. FPL Heavyweight and Sky FF. How long to hold on to King KDB for? He really isn't delivering lately. Not even getting bonus tiers. And at Guest Chef, thoughts on bringing City strikers in Sterling. So Man City thoughts. Dan, could I come to you first on your thoughts on Man City?
So, like you said, the next 4 games, especially the next 2, do you know what I mean? If they can't, I was thinking about De Bruyne. You think the first game he played the season, he was like most people captain, and he was like a 44-point captain when that's the danger if you don't have him. But, I'll probably captain him against Burnley this weekend, and I'll tell you, if he don't bring me some points in, I'll give him the next game. But do you know what I mean? If after that, he might have to go because he's a lot of money. And if he's not sort of bringing in the points that Bruno is, that's a lot of money sitting in someone who's not returning. So I'll give him the next few games. I also think I'm very, I love Aguero. Do you know what I mean? If he's probably start the weekend when do you know what I mean? But I'm very tempted by Aguero because if you are struggling or not had a good week, he's the sort of player that will score 2 or 3 goals and fire you right up there sort of thing. So I'm tempted, but yeah, I just don't know with them really, but I'm gonna stick with them for now, and we'll see how they go for the next 2 or 3 games.
I think in Man City's last 2 home games against Burnley, I think they've won 5-0, 5-0. I want to say as well. I think they're a bit of a boat, even though and Burnley have conceded, I think it's 12 so far in their 7 games. It's going to be interesting because and we'll talk about it later about the captaincy option because obviously Salah's away to Brighton. KDB will have Burnley at home, but also Calvert-Lewin will have Leeds, and even though they kept a clean sheet against Arsenal today, which is not very hard to do. They conceded 4 in their previous 2, so it's going to be really interesting captaincy discussion later. Paul, what are your thoughts on City?
Yeah, similar to Dan. For me, the best City asset just now is Diaz. Anyways, seems to be nailed on defence. So we're going to pick up passing, and I would have thought all of those games. So if I was attacking City to get players in, Diaz would be my first choice over anybody. Then it would probably be De Bruyne based on ownership and when Aguero's. So on to Dan's point, when Aguero's back, for me that makes De Bruyne an even better asset. Like the way that Aguero makes his runs kind of suits De Bruyne's early balls. So I think that'll enhance De Bruyne's output as well. But I had thought, I'd seen the question on Twitter earlier on. I had to think about it when I was walking the talk earlier on. And I know people I know that there's much better value in the game just now. So if you look at guys like Zuma and Chilwell, and I'm sure there's 8 million-ish midfielder assets that are doing well. And could you use the De Bruyne money to downgrade to someone and then upgrade someone else? But then a couple of things for me is that I've set out my team with the big hitters in the places that I want the big hitters to be. And it would mean a complete restructure, and then trying to get back into that structure costs you another 2 transfers, or you lose one of your big hitters. You lose your Kane, Salah, or Bruno, who all seem like season keepers. Well, I say Salah's a season keeper. I know that we're doing the kind of hokey-cokey with him just now to take him out and get him back in. But it just seems like more transfers down the line. And I just feel like as soon as you took De Bruyne out, he's going to hit like another 20-pointer, 25-pointer. And with that, the value for me is in the Chelsea defence just now. And because they go on, I know you've talked about it quite a bit, Fergie, they go on a bit of a sticky run against teams that won't give up as much possession as the teams that against Chelsea have done recently.
And will likely score as well, I think.
Yeah, so I'm not so if I was saying who's on my watch list just now, it would be Chilwell and Zuma, but I'm not desperate to get them in, and hence I don't need to free up the money.
No, I agree. And sorry, go on.
No, and just the thing on Sterling, I think Sterling would be a nice sort of vanity transfer just now, but with so many required striker captaincy options, Calvert-Lewin, Vardy's coming up, going on that other single game day potential, another single game day on top of that. You're going to want to captain Kane, you're going to want to captain Salah coming up. There's just too many strikers for limited spaces. And would I ever captain Sterling over De Bruyne or even Diaz? Probably not.
I agree. Lots of people in the chat are saying Diaz and KDB. A couple of shots for Kun. So Mark Daniel, as I said, he's going to be bringing in Aguero next week. Josh Hoyland, KDB and Diaz. Liam Dorrian, last year's champion, Aguero and Pep Roulette. Big no for me. I must say, I do agree. I've already got Diaz and De Bruyne in my team. I'll be captaining De Bruyne. Even he hasn't looked bad, I would say, is the thing. I thought he was unlucky not to return yesterday against Spurs. He was the only one. He had that driving force. He had a few blocked shots. I thought Spurs defensively yesterday were absolutely outstanding. And if they weren't as outstanding as they were, and Lloris made a couple of good saves as well. So I think Rodri headed straight at the keeper off a De Bruyne cross. At the end, Diaz headed straight at Lloris from a De Bruyne cross. So he's not playing bad. He's not like really, really deep. He's not out on the wing. He's there. He's just not returning. And for those who have played Sky for more than a season or so, when De Bruyne hits form, he can hit a 50-point week. Because he just hits he ticks every single box. Very similar to Bruno for me. Bruno and KDB for me, leave him in all season unless something seriously wrong happens. And we had a really good shout in the chat as well from Andrew Patterson, actually, after the turnaround as well. So City actually play West Brom and Burnley twice in quite quick succession, the way that the fixtures fall. So pre-overhaul, they get to play all these teams twice. And I think it's from game week 22, which will be Sky game week 24. They have a run of 3 games, Arsenal, Chelsea and Spurs. Up until that point, their fixtures are just mint. Get them in, leave them in. If anything, I would say to probably potentially look at someone like Laporte or Walker or someone like that, because I think that they're gonna mop up clean sheets, mop up the bonus points as well. But each to their own. We've had some scores in the hundreds. Chris Port 109, X John O 103 points, and these boys have still got a couple of players to play as well. Great stuff. And Ian Parrott.
Do you see Chris's second comment, Chris Port?
What's that?
Off to watch I'm a Celeb, so we'll listen in the morning. I don't think that's acceptable.
What's the matter with you, Chris? Jesus.
Get that on record.
Blocked. And and Ian Parrin, I'm all for promoting FFH merchandise on your pod, but Dan pouring beer into a mug is not on. Mugs for tea, glasses for beer, Dan. He is from Norwich, Ian, but
Ian, if you were on the FPL pod, it'd be a bit more civilised.
Yeah, it would indeed.
Adam drinks wine glasses stuff, doesn't he? And Butler brings him over something.
How would you know you're not allowed on? Anyway, on to community questions. So thank you so much, as usual, for everyone who has sent in some questions. We've picked a few out. Question from Lee Williams. Are we all moving Zaha back onto Salah if he's fit? So I suppose the main question here is, so I think, Paul, have you kept Salah and taken out Kane? No.
So I was gonna do that until I wasn't. Then I wasn't sure if he would play against Brighton or not next week. Okay, so
we're all Salah-less, and obviously away to Brighton on Saturday, but there are good alternatives in terms of captains. Have you guys got any thoughts, Paul, first on what to do about potentially getting Salah back? I suppose one, there's the idea of having him back, and two, have you kept budget to get him back if needed?
So I'm waiting for the fixtures, basically. I think I'd want him for the Fulham game, and I'm convinced that will be a Saturday, and therefore there's going to be limited options to do it that week, and therefore he's playing Wolves in 2 game weeks' time, which I think might get moved to the Sunday because they play the Wednesday in the Champions League. So there'll be some sort of move to potentially get him in then, I think.
Yeah. How about you, Dan?
Do you know, I'm just so annoyed. I'll save it for later, but that we've not had the fixtures, so I don't know. I can I'm going to bring Zaha in tomorrow, but it's just I just don't know really. To be honest, if we get any more news on Salah, like that, whoever asked him that question, that weren't helpful, was it? Like you didn't really get anything. If it was, even if you had something like, oh no, it was. That'll be 10 days after his next negative result, or do you know what I mean? So we don't even know if he'll be playing, do we, this weekend coming? Some people are guessing he is, but until you know, I just don't know. Like that's the first game of the day against Brighton, so do you know what I mean? At least you can check. Oh yeah, he is starting, and then plan to bring him in. Yeah. But at this moment in time, I've just taken him out for Vardy. So if they now say Vardy's going to be out for a week or this, that, the other, I just don't know, mate. I wasn't planning to have him, because I was hoping he'd be out, but to make things a bit easier. But I just don't know, mate. And so it really depends. We must get these fixtures this week for the next sort of December. So I just don't know, mate. I really don't know.
I think unless there's a massive captaincy requirement, which there shouldn't be, because he's playing in the Champions League, they should play on the Saturday. Theoretically, he's away to Brighton. They're home to Wolves, which is not, it's not a great home fixture for them. They're away to Fulham, which is obviously, a beautiful fixture, right? But it does depend where it falls, because there could be other games which kind of fall on that day. They're offer an alternative, and he is away as well, And as much as we like to say he's not an effective away as he's at home, but then home to Spurs, which is going to be a really, really hard game. Sorry, go on, Paul.
Fulham aren't defensively great home or away, so there's
fair
really
point.
much.
Fair point. Then they got Spurs, and then they're away to Palace. So there's only that Fulham game in there that I'm really kind of scared. I do think Wolves and Spurs. All right, even if he scores a penalty or gets a goal. It's not the end of the world, is it?
If you were going to get him in for the Fulham game, though, you probably want to get him in for the Wolves game the week before, because it's the perfect hop-on point. Because as I say, I think it'll be a Sunday, and you get rid of whoever played the Saturday to move him on.
Depends how it falls, doesn't it? Right? Yeah. No, that's fair. I suppose just one other point for those who have dropped off Salah, but I think they're getting on. So I've got a predicament here, right? So I did Salah to Vardy. Now my plan tomorrow, I'm planning on taking out Højbjerg, and I've got a choice of Zaha or Van Aanholt for the Monday evening game and the Friday evening game. Now, if I go for Zaha, it means I can't then do a straight swap back from Vardy to Salah because I can't afford it. Whereas if I went for Van Aanholt, I can do Vardy back to Salah. So I would just say for those in a similar sort of position, those with a transfer or two in mind, make sure that if you want Salah back, you leave yourself enough money. Because if you don't, and this is Paul's pet hate, isn't it, Paul? Having to make 2 transfers for 1 move is just the worst thing you can do in Sky. So I suppose I'd just be aware of that. Because I
say pet hate. I don't hate when other people do it.
No, only when it happens to you.
When I've done it myself, it's always backfired.
Yeah, agree.
I'm in the same boat as you tomorrow night. Like I could go Højbjerg to Zaha, and keep Kane, but then I can't get back to Salah. Do you know what I mean? So it's a night. And like Paul said, do I want to take Kane out for Zaha for 2 games? Maybe 3, do you know what I mean? Depending on what these fixtures are, to then go back to Kane. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do I want to blow 2 transfers off my tally to bring in Zaha? Or just, do you know what I mean? It's just it's annoying, isn't it? I can imagine doing it, and he's that's 2 pointers, but you got to hope not.
Good question from Niall Murphy. Excellent Sky player. Cracking pod as usual, lads. Excellent. Zaha, keeping or shifting after Friday night? And if the latter, who comes in? So I think the only thing to say is they they do have West Brom, don't they, as their next game, even though West Brom...
And there's a chance it moves to the Friday as well.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I think no, it's a bit of a wait and see for the fixtures. They do have West Brom next, and as I say, Ian Parent's predicted fixtures has said there is a good chance that is moved to the following Friday. So if that's the case, we keep in there for the captaincy option there. So hopefully that kind of answers. But again, and it's a bit crap to say, right? But we're waiting for the fixtures, because without these fixtures, it's really really tough to plan ahead.
I'll be if interested, I'll be moving him on to Vardy next week if that Crystal Palace game doesn't get moved to the Friday night.
Okay, we had a question off Glenroy. Really, really good question. Do you think people have become a bit over obsessed with not using transfers? Paul, what do you think about that?
No, I don't think people have become obsessed with overusing transfers. I've had this question quite a few times recently, like people talking about how much we talk about not using transfers. But it's not like we're going to go into the last game of the season with 10 transfers and then just going to burn them because we're not using them. Like, we just know that, like, we're already at a stage where we could have went into this game week with 5 or 6 legitimate injuries or COVID scares. I remember seeing some Twitter teams who had legitimate first choice players in their team, so they're not picking players that are rotation risks in their team, and they were like orange flagged and red flagged. I think there's going to be more opportunities. That Man City and Man United are going to have they've got a game in hand, so they'll pick up that at some point. And there's players from both those teams that are going to play every game, or 90% of teams. So Diaz, De Bruyne, Bruno, Maguire, even if you start picking up passing bonus, or Wan-Bissaka. Like Man United's first 11's relatively settled-ish, and they're going to pick up form at some point in time. So there's going to be like 3-for-1s, 4-for-1s later on in the season where you might want to use 2 or 3 transfers there. There's all these captaincies coming up on Friday nights and Monday nights. Sorry, I'm saying like I'm going on and on and on about it now.
No, it's good.
I don't think we're overly obsessed with it. I know that if I had a player injured and they were going to be injured for 4 games, then I would take them out. I wouldn't sit with an injured player for that reason. But if I'm moving on someone like Ben White to like another budget enabler like Kufal, I'm just not going to use a transfer on that. Like, there might become a point in time where a Brighton game gets moved to a Friday night, like it did a couple of weeks back, or so I just don't want to risk making moves just for the sake of it for that. And I think that's more to the point. We don't want to waste transfers doing vanity moves, not because we're not taking out injured players or picking up captaincies of high-owned players.
I would also say it's not like we're sat here on 38 transfers, right? So we're sat here on roughly 32 or 33. So we're kind of roughly on 1 a game week, right? And bear in mind, we haven't even hit a busy period yet, and we don't know we don't know the fixtures. So all the games in December, at the moment, I could have captained Dallas today, right, or where it was, and as it was, it would have turned out better than Vardy. So we are still using them, I think. But if we only used a couple, I think fair enough. But I think 1 a game week, that's on par with having a transfer left in the last game week of the season. So I think it's right. It's a long game. You don't get anything for being in the top 100 now. You don't get nothing. So if you're in the top 100 or 200, but you've used 16, 17 odd transfers, you will not finish in the top 100. And it's as simple as that, because there will be people who've got 9 or 10 more transfers than you, who will overtake you. That's just my view. I think early doors it's quite easy to get obsessed with rank now, but come January and February and March, and we suffered this last year, right? So after the overhaul, we were telling everyone the moves we wanted to make. Remember that Antonio on the Friday night, right, when he scored the 4 goals? That would have been our transfer had we had the spare transfers, but we didn't, and that would have been a season changer, absolute season changer. Right, a couple of comments on transfers. Bear, most transfers go wrong. Ample time to use them. You could easily benefit using 10 in certain weeks. Fire and Blood says all the advice of not using transfers stopped me from picking DCL. Well, it's that's just tough cheese, I suppose. But I'm pretty sure that you'll gain over however many you got, 40 odd points over the season by holding transfers back. But you could also say, I bet you there are people in this chat who have held on to Robertson by holding back on transfers. Just an example, even though anyone who's spinning through them would have probably removed him, but he's hauled through earlier. So, and the final question we had was off FPL Norman Conquest. Is Calvert-Lewin a must-have? And thoughts on still going with the double Leeds defence. And Paul at Tevzi0611, is DCL a must-have player? I've battled on without remembering he has bad form at the end of last season, but I think I'm going to have to get him in. What do you think? Dan, can I ask you first? Or Calvert-Lewin?
He's such a good price, isn't he, to have him in? I think you then just have to leave him in for the season, because I could bring him in now. I'm only worried would be like, if I had him in, would I then have a front three? Do you know what I mean? I don't just want him and Salah or something, because then you'll spend the money, won't you, that you've saved on his 9.3 price elsewhere, and you wouldn't be able to. So you could, as a three, if you're going to go for it, him, Kane and Salah, you could probably still have quite a nice team. So, yeah, I don't see why not. I say it's a good price, and you can jump, like, if Pulisic is ever fit again, do you know what I mean? And Calvert-Lewin's not on it, you can jump onto Pulisic, same sort of price, or there's options, aren't there? You could then go into a midfielder if you've, got the right formation that allows you to do that. But yeah, I don't see why not. Like we said, I'm an R him today in my A team. I did put him in B team, but I don't really class that because that's my sort of gamble team sort of thing. But yeah, he's looking like it, isn't he? The amount of goals he's got, and when he scored after like 40 seconds today, I'm sort of like just thinking like, probably that must have come off the defender or something. You sort of, please don't be a goal, like please get me at VAR or something. But yeah, he's looking like a dream sort of thing. I think he's one of them ones I sort of always tend to hold off, rather than just, I know everyone before was talking about Bamford and stuff and Watkins, or they'll jump on someone like that and then they won't score for 3 or 4 games. And then, like I said, you've got to then find money to bring in a Salah or Kane or someone like that. So, but yeah, he is looking good value.
Yeah, Martin also says no Europe for Calvert-Lewin too, so he'll start every game. I think that's fair. Tom Hartnell season pick. I think he can score against him. And he's on all our radars, right? So I picked Vardy over him, but it wasn't because I thought that Calvert-Lewin wasn't an amazing pick. I just picked Vardy for the extra games, right? If the fixtures fall in Calvert-Lewin's favour moving forward now, and he's definitely a captaincy option, etc. It's when to bring him in rather than kind of if, I suppose, isn't it? Go on, Paul.
I was quite fortunate because I think we've got similar teams, but I've got Ben White over Højbjerg, means I've got like an extra million freed up. So when I was planning out how I wanted my team to look like moving forward, I'm going to get Vardy in, but he's going to be a placeholder to get back Salah, Kane, so I can have that forward line, DCL, Salah and Kane. And I seen that this is the perfect opportunity. I was lucky enough that Ian Parron's predictor came up with the single Palace game days. So when I did the Ings move out, I moved them on to Zaha at that point, which meant I could restructure how I was looking at it and what I wanted my team to look like moving forward. So so I did get lucky in that sense. I think it's sometimes it's how your team looks and what makes the most sense move to your team, and not what's the best player to get in at a certain point. It's what's the best player to get in for your team at that point. And when's it like, everyone's got that entry and exit strategy. Like Ian also mentions that quite a lot as well. That's something I think about quite a bit.
Yeah. Chris Hobley says DCL scoring isn't fluke or temporary. Ian and Ancelotti both have talked about how he's getting in the right positions and one-touch finishes. Agree. I completely agree. I can't say he's not a good pick, because he is. We just went the wrong way this morning, and I think in all fairness, it's probably the only one, probably apart from the opening weekend when we didn't have, was it Salah got a hat-trick and Vardy got 2, everyone, we didn't have them.
But then
other than that, we hit everyone.
We spoke about beforehand, like on my little notes and all that, I got Calvert-Lewin as I did think was the best captain today. But when I looked at Leicester's games and they got Fulham on the 30th, Vardy was the captain I wanted most for that game. I've only got Grealish, so I didn't want to have Grealish away to West Ham. I wanted Vardy at home to Fulham. So I thought, I know Vardy away to Liverpool's not the best, but I'll move Salah onto him with that game in mind. So sort of, if he's fit and he scores 4 goals against Fulham, then that's a result. And if Calvert-Lewin doesn't do anything against Leeds, then that's sort of balanced out sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not beating myself up about not having him today because that was always a risk. But you just got to hope Vardy's fit and scores 4 or 5 against Fulham to balance it out now.
I think that Ian said in the chat here as well, and he's right. He said, we didn't just pick Vardy based on the one day, right? Let's see how this little period pans out in terms of, if Vardy is fit and we keep him, he's potentially got 2 or 3, captaincies ahead of him, where those who haven't got Vardy are going to have to bring him in and use a transfer. So let's just see how it pans out. And you can't have everyone, right? Like, fortunately, so just today, for example, I had double Leeds defence and Gabriel. So while he missed out, obviously, on that, did get 21 points off those. So it is about your squad as well.
Speaking of which, I'm sure we made a bet on Friday's live stream.
I was hoping you'd forget about this.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So we had
a Scotsman when there's alcohol on the line on a bet. I don't think so.
Yeah, less. Yeah, you're right. We'll touch on that at the end when we come to my questionably, my very aptly named questionable bets. We'll touch on that. Just a quick one off Liam for Man City's good fixtures. Would you captain Diaz over ADB? That's a bloody good question. Seems that Diaz is probably guaranteed 10 points a game for the for the next 4 or 5 games. Dan, are you tempted at all?
Yeah, I would be, like we spoke about beforehand. And again, in the B team, I captained Zuma on Saturday because I just knew, well, I didn't know, but I had a pretty sort of good guess that he was going to get passing bonus and keep a clean sheet. So that's 20 points ahead of him. And yeah, that's always, there was a spell last season. If you'd have captained Van Dijk, over Salah, that would have benefited you more 9 out of 10 times when it's sort of thing. He scored more points than Salah, but yeah, I think it's safer. I say even if Man City concede, that's still a 10-point captain, which is, it's a viable strategy.
And just a quick one off Adam Byram. Ricardo Pereira due back soon could be a good differential for the upcoming run. That is a good shot. It's a good alternative to Vardy there potentially. Thanks for that, Adam. James Street, Fergie is in tears, unlike Dallas and A-Link. Thank you very much for that, James. Thanks for reminding me of that. So moving on then. So looking ahead to next game week, game week 12. On Friday evening, obviously, we still got the Palace game to go tomorrow. We've also got Wolves and Southampton tomorrow. But on Friday, Palace are home to a beleaguered Newcastle, who tend to turn up one game and then not really the other. Obviously, they beat Everton a couple of weeks ago, but haven't done much since. On Saturday, we've got Brighton and Liverpool, the half-12 games. We get to see the line. We get to see if Salah is back on the Saturday, which could be important to a few people. Man City home to Burnley at 3 o'clock. Everton against Leeds. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin on fire there. And West Brom, the really exciting 8 o'clock game. West Brom against Sheffield United. I will be staying in for that one. And on the Sunday, we have Southampton against Man United at 2 o'clock. Chelsea and Spurs, which could be a cracker because you must think whoever wins that game will probably have a good run for the title, you would guess, along with Liverpool or maybe even both of them still. But I personally think if Spurs can come out of that game, being a Spurs fan, and beat Chelsea away, I think they're looking good. And then we have Arsenal and Wolves, guaranteed 0-0 between Arsenal and Wolves on the Sunday evening there. And then on the Monday, we've got Leicester and Fulham, like we've just talked about. We get to see the Leicester lineup, and then West Ham and Villa, with most people owning Grealish, even though West Ham, as Paul's pointed out, have just kept 4 clean sheets on the bounce. So Paul, come to you first. What are your plans for game week 12 starting Friday?
We Zaha captain, I already own him, so I don't need to use a transfer to bring him in. So Zaha captain against Newcastle. So Saturday, right, I genuinely think that Calvert-Lewin's the best option, but there's something in me that I don't want to wipe away the good work that I've done today by not captaining someone that I know they'll probably be the most high. Like, I think De Bruyne will be the most highly captained player. I don't know. Like, I could captain Diaz as well. Like, I feel like all three of them are good options, I think, on Saturday. I'm on De Bruyne just now. I might change, but because I've said it now live, I now feel like I can't change my mind. So it'll be De Bruyne on Saturday, and then Sunday it will be Bruno, and then on Monday I'm looking to do Zaha to Vardy, and then captain Vardy on the film.
Okay, we've just heard Jota got man of the match in the Liverpool game. Thank you very much for that, Ross. Would you not tempted by Kane away to Chelsea on Sunday ahead of Bruno, or is just Bruno the go-to man?
Bruno away from home.
Absolutely, he's a different animal, isn't he? Dan, anything different?
We'll save a lot of time here. No, exactly the same captains as Paul.
Are you definitely going for Zaha ahead of Van Aanholt? Because Liam on Friday evening put forward a very, very good argument for having Van Aanholt ahead of Zaha. And you've already said, if you go for Zaha, there's no easy route back to Salah for you.
See, I could take out Kane for Zaha.
Take out Kane?
I could do it that way, yeah. So I don't fancy him away to Chelsea.
But you fancy him the week after, potentially on the Monday night, home to Arsenal as the captaincy game?
But if that is a Monday night,
maybe.
Do you know what I mean? I can get a few more games out of someone else, can't I? And then get back to him. So I could
hopping around transfers. Yeah, you burn through it, mate. You just hop on and off.
So I could do. I'm thinking I could take out Kane to Zaha, have Zaha for these two games, and then hopefully another Friday, miss the Chelsea away game where he'll probably score a hat trick, and then flip him in for the Arsenal game. But yeah, no, I don't know, but Palace could. I think I said last week or in my article they could easily keep 2 clean sheets, couldn't they? It's just your luck in it. But then Zaha, is Milivojevic suspended? Isn't he?
Yeah, he still is for a couple of games. I think.
Zaha should be taking the pens. So I just know that I talked about Zaha and had Zaha that much in my mind. If I now don't go for him, he'll score twice or something, and I'll be like, Dorrian's fault or something. So I'm sticking with Zaha. But yeah, Van Aanholt he's a good suggestion. Plus, you could swap out a defender who's not quite doing it for you, or something like that. You know, you ain't got to mess about with anyone else. Like I said, I was thinking about taking out Højbjerg, but I'm quite happy. He got another bonus again, did he, on Saturday tackles? So I'm quite happy to keep him in there. I did think about moving him on for someone, but at 7.4 mil, I'm quite happy with his points return. And like I say, I just have him sitting in there all season. He's doing a job for me that I ain't really got to mess about with unless he gets injured. So I'm happy to keep him.
Fergie, the potential games on Friday, the 4th of December, if there was to be a game that night, are Villa at home to Newcastle, Brighton at home to Southampton, Burnley at home to Everton, or West Brom at home to Crystal Palace. So I'm not saying make transfer if anyone's making transfers to be adamant that one of those games is going to be on that night, but all other games are tied to the days that they're on because of European games around it.
Ian says his prediction for Friday the 4th is Brighton versus Southampton, which would mean that Paul has lucked in again with another Friday game for Ben White.
Jammy.
But yeah, we will see. I think I'm going to go for Van Aanholt, and that's primarily because I'm really tossing it between the two. Zaha is very hit and miss. He's just as likely to get booked and sent off as he is to score a goal. And if I go Van Aanholt, it means I can get straight back from Vardy to Salah, so I don't want to waste a transfer. Obviously, Zaha will go now, and score a brace on Monday and score another 1 or 2. But again, right, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So as long as we're there with the pack, transfers in hand, feel comfortable. So that is probably what I'm doing.
Palace are a defensively minded team, and you're picking a defender. It's not unreasonable, I don't think.
I think as well, one of Ian's mouth. We've mentioned Ian a lot, haven't we, on this pod? But we do because he speaks such sense. And I think his comment on the podcast when he came on a few weeks ago was pick attackers from attacking teams and defenders from defensive teams, which sounds incredibly simple and straightforward. But if you get down to it, that's what you should probably do in it. So we will see. We move on to the podcast team. So this is slightly out of date. So I took this screenshot at 7:45. So that was about half an hour into the into this evening's match. We did bring in Vardy for Salah, which wasn't good, but hopefully, as everyone can see, we did have some clean sheets off Ayling, Dallas, and Gabriel, and we had Robertson was only on 2 points at this point, but he's probably finished on. What did he finish on? 10.
10 was it?
10 with no bonus.
Assist.
So pretty decent showing there from Robertson. So it looks like we're roughly around 70 points, which is probably around the average. Everyone who's captained Calvert-Lewin probably around about 90 or 100. Those without are probably around 70. So we've still got 37 transfers left. For those listening actually on the podcast, we've got Patricia in goals, Robertson, Ayling, Dallas, Gabriel. We've still got Antonio, who didn't play today, which was a shame. Grealish, Bruno, Rodriguez, Kane, and Vardy. So we have put out a poll, and tomorrow it's confirmed we are taking out Robertson for Zaha. That is the move that the Twitter polls have said we're going to do tomorrow for that one. That will put us down to 36 transfers. We are down about 18,000th place in terms of rank, but again, still only 36 transfers used, whereas most people are probably hovering, I would guess, between, maybe 28 and 32 after this next week or so. So it's not too bad. Again, I will put up some polls for the weekend. Thank you so much to everyone who contributes with your votes and with your comments. Just remind everyone, this is my second team, but it's being managed by everyone in the chat and on Twitter, and it's doing all right. It's not pulling up trees by any stretch, but it's doing okay. So I'm fairly happy with that. Fantasy Football Hub £500 league update. In 10th place, Peter Brown. So this is as of last night. This doesn't include today's games. Hodor FC, so he's in 10th place. Sky Blue Army, Alan Barbary has gone up to 9th. Stuart Bullow with a team called Fergie Time, top man, rose 17 places up to 8th. 7th place, John Butchart. 6th, Oliver Colgan. 5th, Michelle Burnett. 4th, Sean Robertson. 3rd, down from 2nd, is John McEwen, who's been up there the whole time. Katie O'Neill, who has also been up there the whole time, is in 2nd place. And number 1, Christopher Forbes with his team Magnificent 7. He's on 872 points as of yesterday. So very, very well done there, Christian Forbes. And finally, for those eagle-eyed, they will notice that the flag has changed on the bottom, though it will be changing again after tonight, but we'll touch on that now. In 8th place in the Four Nations League is our podcast team. Liam is in 7th, reigning champion too. Paul's second team is in 6th place on 752. Dan Cox's Special One team is at the 5th. Liam Dorrian's first team is in 4th. Paul McAnulty's team, who has got Calvert-Lewin, so he's going to overtake us today, is in 3rd. My Fergie Time team went down to 2nd, but leading the way after last night's the chosen one, Dan Cox, 823 points. The England flag is there, but much like Spurs, Dan, you're going to drop down overnight now as the Scotland flag, I believe, will be flying high after Calvert-Lewin. Though that may change again tomorrow when Zaha gets sent off and Van Aanholt grabs a goal, clean sheet, and bonus points all round. That's an update on the Four Nations League. Just an update on on my questionable bets. So the boys were 2 points up on me. Ayling and Dallas didn't happen. I watched a bit of it, and it did seem, especially Ayling, he seemed to have a lot of the ball, but he did do a lot of misplaced passes as well, I saw. But yeah, neither Aidan nor Dallas. Dallas was in midfield. So I think Lee Giles in our WhatsApp chat, as soon as he saw he was in midfield, he lumped onto and get booked first, and it came in. So nice one for that, Lee.
Thanks for sharing it before the game kicked off as well, Lee.
I know, but neither of them were anywhere near. So I now owe the boys 3 points each next time we meet up sometime in the new year. But Dan, I've got one for you this week. So we had an interesting chat yesterday around Chelsea's clean sheet. So I haven't got Chelsea defenders, and one of the reason I haven't is because of this run of fixtures they have coming up now, right? So they're home to Spurs, they're home to Leeds, right? So I expect them to concede in both of those. They're away to Everton, which I think they will concede in that as well. They're away to Wolves. They could keep a clean sheet in that one potentially. West Ham, I think West Ham may score. You then got Arsenal. You then Villa, who have been scoring for fun. Then Man City, then Leicester. So in these next, I picked out, I think it was 9 or 10 games, nine games there. Dan, I think yesterday you said you fancy 7 clean sheets. Is that right? Or did I dream it?
I had a couple of beers before I said that. But I'll stick with it.
7 clean sheets in the next 9, you reckon, for Chelsea?
I said that.
You said that.
God, what time of day was that?
It's 11 in the morning, mate. So unless you
had a couple of
you had
beers.
a couple of tenants early on.
Yeah, I'll stick with that.
So Dan thinks Chelsea are going to keep 7 out of those 9. This is the easiest pint I think, Dan, I've ever earned. I got to be honest, but I'll take up on that.
Control this.
Fergie thought 3. You should have split the difference.
What's that now? I should go for 3.
No. So I'm saying you said.
Oh, I said 3.
1, 2, or 3 max.
Yeah.
Dan said 7, and
no, we're not splitting the difference. No. We're not having any of that. He said 7, and I said I can smell a bat, and he said bring it on. So I'm sticking with that. But I think
we'll be drunk at this when we meet up next year.
I think that's an easy one for me there, personally anyway. Dan, finally, onto your rant. What has upset you this week?
Right, I'll start reading through them, and then I'll see if anything else come up. So the Premier League fixtures, like what? I think I was sort of half hoping they'd be out for Friday at 5 or something. Come on, like, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Like that is hindering what I'm doing now, because you're sort of trying to second guess, like when you think, oh yeah, I'll have Zaha because they might have a Friday night because Ian's sort of worked it out. On Premier League, just give me these fixtures that's doing my head in. It's really hindering this season. Like, if it's not bad enough for COVID, getting the fixtures 2 weeks at a time don't help. So sort it out. Klopp, Salah's a numpty for being at a wedding anyway. Like, what is he doing? I would have had him captain today, so I wouldn't need to make that Vardy switch. So he's a numpty. But when he sees Klopp's quotes like, "Oh yeah, Salah's we've been in contact with him, and once something is something, he'll be what." Like, if you're the journo there, you're saying, first question, right, Kloppo, what's happening with Salah? When's he back? Do you know what I mean? And what's the score? Is it because he's had 2 positive tests? Like, when is it then 10 days? Or because, is he going to play against Brighton, or what, what is going on? Do you know what I mean? It's just, you just don't know. It's all guesswork, isn't it? Like, could he be back? Like, someone even put on Twitter today, like, oh, he's negative test. I'm thinking, like, we better not start tonight. I'll be raging. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's annoyed me. I can't make Fridays because I'm too important to society. I have to go to work still. Do you know what I mean? I know you work from home and that, it's good. But you two being on a show with someone else, I don't know how I feel about that. I watch a lot of Alvin and the Chipmunks, right? Alvin and Simon wouldn't go out about Theodore, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't even know how I feel about you hosting the show with Hopkins, yeah? Because you're there having a laugh and joke with him. I'm like, is he having more fun with him than he is with me and Paul? So, do you know what I mean? That's annoying me.
I think that's a lot about you, Dan. I think we're kind of preying on your insecurities here. You're not. I'd be not like that with your wife and your family. You're not allowed out. You're not wearing that.
No, I don't care.
You don't care. Go out.
You know what I mean?
Yourself.
You go out somewhere and someone's like chatting to Mrs. Up or something, and start crack on. Do you know what I mean? Just go over there like, she can't cook, mate. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, so that's annoying me. And one of my favourites that always makes Will worry, the listeners, right? I'm going to have a bit of moan at the listeners, right? We've got 100 people watching YouTube now live, right? There's 32 likes. Come on, that needs to be, at least 90. Come on, hit that like button. Same with the iTunes chart. If you've got an Apple phone, listen to us on that. We're one of the top ranking. We're the top ranking Sky Sports fantasy podcast. Just get that in there. But we're right up there. But we've only got 25 5-star, I might say, reviews. So get on your iTunes and 5 stars. If you want to include words like amazing, fantastic, essential listening, that's up to you. But just 5 stars will do. I think that's about it, really. Again, if you do want to message me, that is fine. I'm free all week. Do you know what I mean? I have an hour lunch break. I'll get back to you. And only if you're listening to this podcast. So if you are listening now, well done. This week's password, I'll only accept it if you spell it right as well. See if I can pronounce it. This week's password is hippopotamus.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. And a great password and a great rant as well. A couple of things in the chat. Phil Speck. Dan is high maintenance. You are high maintenance, Dan. Are you short, Dan? Are you short?
Short?
Yeah.
Average height.
Oh, you joke now and then. You say, "Are you quite? Are you not? Are you average height?"
Yeah, 5'7".
Or are you? Oh, I know you
are.
are.
Normal height.
You sometimes stick the odd thing, don't you, in the chat about you being short. I wasn't sure you were
nah.
Standing up behind your desk there or not, or whether you are actually sat down.
No, I'm not. I'm sat down. Nah, 5'7", 5 foot. Well, nearly 6 foot with heels on.
Okay. We won't go into that.
We don't need to get into that.
Pete S, we need to send Dan into the press conferences and Martin Beasley. His rant. So Martin's had a rant today. Interviewers never ask the question you want them to. That annoys me too. I agree with that, Martin. Not just around press conferences, but just in everyday life. In the government. Where they just allow Boris just to say, about just make sure you wash your hands. Everyone goes, "Oh, okay, thanks for that." But hopefully get better. Tom Hartnell says hippopotamus, and Dan writes, hit the like button for good karma and your captain Will Hall. Thank you so much for that, Dan.
Yes,
great to get some more likes if that's all right there. So thank you all so much as usual for supporting and interacting with us on this live stream. One favor, could everyone please retweet the podcast when we tweet it out later, either later this evening or tomorrow morning. Dan, where can people find you?
Twitter, Dan Cox 82, in the article on the Hub. I like what you said. Me and Paul just rock up, to be fair, but Fergie puts a lot of time into this podcast, so we really appreciate all your questions and retweets, listening in, and that. We do. I don't know, if you didn't send in your questions, it would just be it'd just be us having a chat on Zoom, wouldn't it?
Like
I say, it'd just be two good friends, me and Paul, talking to a much older friend, you, and that'd be it, wouldn't it?
Much taller friends, Dan. Norman Conquest says, I was 5'7", age 9. So just to check that in there. Paul, where can we find you?
At Paul McAnulty 1, MCANULTY.
How tall are you, Paul, out of interest?
6'2".
Are you 6'2"? Yeah. Oh wow, you are. Well, I'm about 6'1", I think. So we'll have to give you a chairlift down when we meet.
Yeah, I think I was 5'7" when I was 9 as well.
Anyway, okay. So my Twitter handle is at Fergie222. If anyone does play FPL, just a quick plug this week. We have our FPL podcast. We'll be streaming it now on Wednesday evening live. Myself and Adam Hopcroft. We're rebranding it. It's going to be called The Green Arrow. So make sure you listen to that if you play FPL.
We are getting on if we beat your combined scores.
If you beat us in FPL. But I've scored 90 this week. So
what your mate score? Who did your mate captain?
Greeley. He listens to this, Dan. He listens to this. I wouldn't wind him up.
And he ain't got Bruyne, has he?
I'm hoping he's captained Calvert-Lewin in Sky, so we can shove that back in your face. But
no, I don't care about Sky, mate.
Don't care about Sky. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub, Sky and TFF YouTube channel, and also available on all major podcast platforms. If you liked what you watched, again, please press like. It's only got 50 likes or 100 people live watching. That means half the audience is not enjoying it. press it. And remember to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast and leave some comments. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok are at FFH_HQ. And our podcast Twitter handle is at FFH_Sky. So please feel free to ask any questions. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player team reveals, and much, much more. Dan writes a brilliant article every Friday. I also reveal my team and my exact moves in my multi-format article on a Thursday. Good luck to all watchers and listeners this week. We'll be back next Sunday. Looking forward to Sky Game Week 13. We will see you all then. Good night all.